Welcome in. I'm Eli Gehn, joined with sports director at our sister station, WBNS 10 TV, Dom Tiberi, joining me now as we break down this weekend's Big Ten championship between top-ranked Ohio State and second-ranked Indiana. Dom, I want to start with this. Just your overall thoughts of this matchup, a matchup that a lot of people have been anticipating, I'd say well over a month or so when they started releasing the college football playoff rankings.
Well, first of all, I've been doing this a couple years. This is my 44th season. And, I am totally blown away with how great Indiana is. And, you think about where the Hoosiers have been for so many years and what Curt Cignetti's been able to do with this football program. And these guys are the real deal, and I'm really looking forward. The only thing I wish, Eli, is I wish this game wasn't being played in the Big Ten title game. I think this should be a playoff game. I think this has got a really good chance to be a rematch, and these two teams could meet for the national title. I'm praying both teams come out of this healthy and no one gets injured. Yes. But, I am so pumped to see this. We're talking about two offenses that can flat light it up, that have outstanding talent. I mean, and let me put it in perspective for you. You look at Indiana, and Ryan Day, you guys have their attention. Indiana has Ryan Day's attention. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense in the country. That's saying something. They're outscoring their opponents by like 500 to 100. I mean, it's crazy what they've been able to do. And, I'm really looking forward to this. I just wish it was for the national title.
Yeah, who knows? So maybe a little appetizer that we're going to get on Saturday. And you brought up a good point about Ryan Day having some respect for IU. And I think they've gathered a lot of respect from the entire nation just within the last year. You look back at last season when Indiana went to the shoe, right? And they were 10-0, and then they end up losing by 23, and people sort of wrote them off after that. I think that was a year that, an offseason that I should say, that Cignetti and this program really focused on we need to start living up to these moments, and I think they've certainly improved and shown that during the course of this year, now 12-0 heading in, which has a lot of, you mentioned there's so many awesome matchups. You can reach all over the board and talk just about anything when it comes to the matchups and the players and the talent. But what are some of the matchups, Dom, that you're going to be looking at Saturday to really keep a keen eye on?
Well, I'm really impressed with the Indiana offense, and I want to see how they're going to match up with the Ohio State defense. Ohio State has the top-ranked defense in the country. Matt Patricia has done an amazing job. But, I look at your quarterback, Mendoza, and the way he is a dual threat. Everyone thinks, here's a guy that's thrown for so many touchdowns, with 30-some touchdowns, has spread the ball all over the field. And really, they play an up-tempo, fast offense. We'll see how that matches up against Ohio State's defense. But he's not just a throwing quarterback. This guy is a dual threat, as you saw last week in that ball game against Purdue, where he ran touchdowns in. I'm really excited to see how this Ohio State's defense, we saw it a week ago when they took on Michigan. Michigan had most of its yards in the game in that first quarter. And you saw Matt Patricia and Timmy Walton, the defensive coaches, go to the iPads. They figured it out and basically shut them down for the rest of the game. We're talking about a quarterback at Michigan that was limited to, 63 yards passing. Yep. They had negative yards rushing in the fourth quarter. But, that was against Michigan. Now they've got to do it against this offense led by Fernando Mendoza, and you guys are loaded. They're loaded on offense. So that's the number one matchup I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Mendoza there going against Caleb Downs, kind of that chess piece matchup that you're going to have. And IU's running game has been, honestly, maybe the kind of under the surface that doesn't get talked about enough. They ran for over 350 yards just last week. They have a kind of a three-headed monster back there. So when it comes to that with the running game, I think you got to look at the trenches too, right? I mean, both of these fronts on offense and defense on both sides is going to pose for a pretty physical battle, and we saw the Buckeyes do that against Michigan last week.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Ohio State, to me, on defense, that's been the biggest surprise. It's not surprised me because they recruit so well and they reload. Everyone thought with what they lost from a year ago, a national championship team, that the defensive front would be hurting. In my opinion, that's become one of the strengths, and it's the next man up theory. I think that IU has done an amazing job with their offensive line. I watch them. There's a nastiness to that offensive line that Indiana has. And you're right, this is going to be a battle in the trenches. Give Curt Cignetti all the credit in the world. He has used the transfer portal to go out and get exceptional talent. You saw the quarterback he brought in, but the guys up on the offensive line, they have been impressive, and this is going to be a battle. I mean, you're going to talk about two teams that are going to be really sore on Sunday, the day after this game, because I guarantee you it's going to be a slobber knocker. There's going to be haymakers in this ball game.
Yeah, and I like kind of the approach that IU has taken this year. Is I think Fernando Mendoza sort of touched on it quite a bit throughout the season. As you mentioned, Cignetti bringing in, using the transfer portal to his advantage. It's kind of like a team that has a bunch of misfits who kind of come from these different programs. They're not always looked at the most, but they're able to kind of rally here and get together, in which honestly I think Cignetti's, the way that he's able to bleed his mentality and his message and his culture into his players, I think needs to be studied, to be honestly. Like, we haven't seen something like that when you take over a program and turn it around so quickly. And then now going against Ohio State, the perennial program, one of the monster programs in all of college football. How do you anticipate, maybe, you mentioned Ryan Day has the respect of IU, but maybe from a player standpoint of how, like, hey, Ohio State, we've been there, we've done this before, we're defending national champs, against IU maybe with the team that's still trying to prove something, so to speak?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Curt Cignetti. I love a flavor, and he is a flavor, and he brings a great enthusiasm, and I just love the attitude he brings. He's a Pittsburgh guy, and I love everything about him. And I think, the rules are the rules, and he's using them to their advantage, and more power to him. I think that's good for this conference. Let me just tell you this. No one at Ohio State is sleeping on this Indiana football team. No one at Ohio State is thinking about what they did a year ago. As a matter of fact, the leaders of this team, guys like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Lorenzo Styles, they told Coach Day, take all that stuff down. That was last year's team. This is a new team. This is a new year, and we are going to write our own history. What we did a year ago, and I love what Coach Day said, they're not defending anything. They already won the national title. You can't take it away, and they're out to become, and you think about how many great teams. We talk about, the history of Indiana and Ohio State, and you look at how many Big Ten titles Ohio State's won. I think Indiana's won 3 or going for third, and over the years, and as many years as they've played football. But, the thing is, Ryan Day has made the routine. He has hammered these guys. Don't listen to the noise, or as Nick Saban calls it, the rat poison. You guys have done nothing. We can't just go out there and win another national title. It's going to take hard work. And you think about all the great teams they've had at Ohio State with Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, all national championship winning coaches, but none of them won back-to-back. And Ryan Day embraced this from the beginning of the year. He said, our goal is to become the first team in Ohio State history to win back-to-back national titles. And now this is the time when the hardware is won. But they got to go out and do it. And I'm going to say it again. This Indiana team, no one's sleeping on them. I'm not sleeping on them. All you have to, your eyes don't lie. Watch Indiana play. These guys are great. Ryan Day said it 4 times yesterday when we talked to him. He said there's a reason why they're the number 2 team in the country, and some people think they ought to be number 1. It's going to be the Heisman race. This game will decide the Heisman Trophy, I believe. I think it's going to be down to Mendoza. I think it's down to Sand. And depending on what J.J. Smith, Jeremiah Smith does, he could sneak in and win it. But I think the winning team, whoever wins, that a player from that team will win the Heisman. That's my belief.
Yeah, I believe that too, Dom. So you have Mendoza, who's had the moment this year in that game-winning drive against Penn State. Julian Sand, he has the mechanics, right? So I think he still might be looking for that moment. You mentioned, yes, that no one's sleeping on Indiana. I love how Indiana is kind of approaching this too. Cignetti talked with us on Monday saying they haven't earned anything yet. Not even close. Even though they are 12-0, you go back to last Friday, Cignetti talking postgame after they beat Purdue, saying, yeah, we're the first team in program history to, win 12 games in a regular season. Kind of has that little side smirk that he has, and really just kind of has an edge. And I'm really looking forward to this matchup. It's going to be great. We've all been looking forward to it. Number 1 versus number 2, Lucas Oil Stadium at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Dom, thank you very much for joining me. Be well, and we'll see you at the other end of the Big Ten Championship, okay?
All right, good luck to the Hoosiers, but not too much.
All righty, thank you.